Hello, English 101. I hope you all are enjoying your snow days. It's been a minute, so I want to keep you guys refreshed on some material from our class through these videos. This video is about academic writing, which, as we discussed on our first day of class in our syllabus, academic writing is one of the focal points of this class, developing a working definition as to what that is. Now, academic writing is not a term that you can just look up in a dictionary and find a couple sentences that define it. It's something that is a bit more complex than that. You're going to want to develop a working definition of it, or you're going to want to understand it as a framework of things as opposed to one single thing. So let's dive in and get started. When it comes to understanding academic writing, if you take a look at the word, first of all, you see the word academy in it. Now, academy is a term that's pretty close to college or university. So we're generally talking about writing in a college or university setting. So when we write in a college or university setting, there are certain expectations and standards that we have to adhere to. Here are three of them. The first one is understanding something called the writing context. Context is defined as the interrelated conditions surrounding a subject. So we want to think of the conditions that surround what we do when we write, or the conditions that are set on our assignments. Now, there are four parts of the writing context that were discussed in the previous video that I'm going to go over again. They're very important. They are subject, or what your essay is about; audience, or for who your essay is written; purpose, why and how you're going to go about doing the essay; and genre, or the type of essay that you're doing. It also involves the document design, the length, as well as the deadlines. We then want to understand how writing context impacts tone or style, or the feel of a piece. How does what you choose to write about, who you choose to write it for, how you're going to do it, and the genre impact how we should go about communicating? What tone should we take? And then we want to understand how something called diction and syntax comprise good or fitting tone and style. If you look down here, I've defined both those terms for you. They're important terms for our class. Diction, frankly, is your word choice. What words you choose. It's going to be important to choose certain words to use to write well in an academic setting. Syntax is the arrangements of those words you chose or phrases to create well-formed sentences, or how you arrange those words to create good sentences for academic writing. Now, what I'm showing you here, I'm going to be referring to later on in the class at different moments, particularly when we move from essay to essay. This is what I call our map of the class, or it's sort of a visual way of tracking our progress through the main terms. Now, if you look, academic writing is in the center. Each thing on these four branches here are a piece of academic writing, in particular a type of essay that we're going to be covering. In the first part of our class, which will begin right here, we will cover reflective writing, which is what the rest of this video is about. Also, in our first essay, we will include components of analytical writing. Then we're going to move over to expository writing, and that also means we're going to bring over components of reflective and analytical over to when we do expository writing. Expository writing is writing that explains a subject. Then last, we're going to cover argumentative writing. Argumentative writing is going to incorporate components from all three of these. In class, we'll dive into a lot more what components we're going to be bringing from each type of essay. Again, knowing what it means to write reflective writing, analytical writing, expository writing, and argumentative writing are all important components of understanding what exactly academic writing is. But the first thing we're going to cover is reflective writing. So first, what is it? The first thing we want to understand is the term reflection. Here's how it's defined by the Oxford English Dictionary. It is defined as the action or process of thinking carefully or deeply about a particular subject, typically involving influence from one's past life and experiences. Key term here, one's past life and experiences. So you are going to be drawing upon your life experience for writing this essay. Obviously, I wanted you guys to pick out processes that you have experience doing so you can draw upon your life experience and therefore lend yourself credibility to talk about the subject. So when we write reflection, we're going to put that reflection into a more permanent and structured format of a written account in an academic tone. You could tell someone how to do something, from person to person, and it would take a much less formal, more conversational tone. We're going to want to take the substance of that conversation and move that to a more academic tone. So, when it comes to reflective writing, what are some examples? And there are a lot more examples that you're familiar with that you may interact with every day than you think. Personal narratives and memoirs are the usual suspects when it comes to these. You may have written personal narratives and memoirs in high school, middle school, elementary school. Personal narratives are stories about something you've experienced. They're linear, they happen from beginning to end. Memoirs are more portraits or collages of a thing. They talk more about one subject, but their stories don't necessarily follow a linear fashion. We'll definitely be using elements of personal narrative and memoir in our first essay. Journal keeping and blogging are also forms of reflective writing. As you may have read in the Thoreau, journal keeping is a very good and thorough way to reflect upon your life and sort of what's happened to be able to get a better perspective on it. Blogging, of course, is a much more modern way of doing that. And furthermore, social media is a very integral form of reflective writing. Now, you may not think of posting on Facebook or a tweet the same way you would think of writing a full-fledged personal narrative or memoir, or really even a blog. But social media, again, is a very important way of reflecting upon what's happened. Think about the content of a Facebook post or a tweet. It's usually reflecting on something that's happened to you or another person in your social circle or your family. It's maybe commenting upon an article, showing your reaction or reflection to that. Social media is a very micro form of reflective writing, but still it very much does reflect. Last, in a more business setting, we have cover letters, scholarship letters, and personal statements. Things that you might write to a college to try and get a scholarship, or things you might write to a business to try and get a job. They're all forms of reflective writing with the objective of selling yourself, of getting the scholarship, or of getting the job. So reflective writing is something that's very versatile and very present in many different types of writing we do every day. So the next thing we want to ask is, why are we doing reflective writing? Why is this important? Well, first and foremost, reflective writing makes connections. You connect your present thought with a past experience and offer a new perspective on it. In particular, for this essay, we're going to be examining and clarifying learning processes. So you're going to be looking back at the process through which you learned something and examining it and clarifying it, getting a better understanding of it. Through this, you'll become a more active and aware learner, make links between theory and the way you, in practice, the way you actually go about it. You'll reflect upon mistakes and successes by giving some narrative of when you went through that process, maybe of when you made a mistake and learned to get around it. And through this, the goal is to improve and develop professionally in a school and a work setting. That's all for reflective writing. Stay tuned for more videos. You guys stay warm and you guys stay safe throughout these snow days. Please let me know if you have any questions. My email, rran0001@kctcs.edu. Thanks, guys.